Hey friends, thanks for joining up. We're going to get the stream started here in just a few minutes, so hold tight and heads up. AWS certified, streaming live here from the yurt. We're on COVID-19 lockdown quarantine protocol, so heads up friends. Stick around for the live chat. We're going to get going here in just a few minutes. Well, Sean, that's a good way to keep things going there, buddy. I appreciate that. I'll keep my raptor friend here to distract you from your cleaning. All right, friends. I think we shall delay no longer. I've got my guitar here. Let's get this show on the road. OBS, where are you? Where are you? Come on over here, buddy. There we go. Yep. Hey, what's up, friends? Woo! All right, Raptor away, drawing board away. Hey, friends, welcome up. Cloud Bart here. It's Saturday afternoon. It's almost 2 p.m. here, East Coast time. And I'm getting a little stir crazy. The kids are flying off the walls, and it's only day one of quarantine, and we're not even really missing school or anything. We're just staying home today. So as you can imagine, a lot of people are probably out there doing the same things. I hope everybody's safe, feeling healthy, doing well. If you're out there watching, leave me a little chat message here. I do appreciate you hanging out. Just a couple little things I wanted to kill some time this afternoon. I'm about to sit down and do a bunch of identity and access management lessons. So those are going to be heading your way this week. Got my new solutions architect course. Woo! Finally got that thing wrapped up this week, and it's getting its final reviews done at CBT Nuggets. So kind of an interesting process for us. We go through, and first I kind of design the course that I want to create. And then I figure out what all the little units are that I'm going to be making it in. We call those skills. And so when I think about like AWS, for example, a skill might be something that's like how to upload and work with data in S3. And we might just talk about how to do those sorts of actions, perform some of that functionality. That becomes a skill. And then I make a few more skills, and then I make 30 more skills. And all of those get grouped together into a big course, which we will finally release into the CBT Nuggets catalog. Now, interesting thing for me is that I've been with CBT Nuggets now about going on 2 years coming up here in June. And when I first started, I put together my security course. And the security course was all chock full of stuff that you're going to find in a lot of other AWS certifications. So we talked identity and access management, policies, governance, protective controls, detective controls, and reactive controls as well. All of that stuff got chunked up inside of that course. And it turns out that when you start digging into a vendor like AWS, who's using role-based certifications, you're going to find skills that work across multiple different lessons. So this was a big win for me because it meant that when I created that security course, it gave me the ability to grab probably like 60% of that content and kind of spread it out across my other associate courses. So this is what I've been doing. And it means that here in the next couple of months, based on all of that work over the last year and a half or so, I'm going to release a whole bunch of new courses at CBT Nuggets and basically completely refresh the catalog of all of our AWS training material. So I would be lying if I told you I wasn't excited there. It's kind of a big deal for me, and I'm very, very excited to kind of get those courses out there. So make sure you take a look at that and check it out. What I wanted to get into today was kind of wrapping up a very fun project that we had going on a couple of weeks ago. And this was all about testing out the Cloud Bart notification system. And so, as a part of making training material, I spend a lot of time thinking about what's a good way to illustrate a concept, what's a fun way to illustrate a concept, and where could I probably take this? And then furthermore, is there a way that I could potentially get other trainers, other students, other people out there in the broad internet to interact with it as well? So this was a kind of a fun experiment. I put together a serverless API using Amazon's API gateway, and I also connected it up to the notification service and then over to the queuing service, and then also some email distribution that goes along with it as well. Cool thing was totally serverless. Basically, all the work that I had to do was really just integration work, kind of connecting the pieces together and making it run. And then all of this kind of got baked into some of the training material that I made as well at CBT Nuggets. So all that stuff kind of gets built into some of the courses that I made. In fact, I wanted to kind of show you a little bit about what that looks like. So let me jump back over here. Yeah, there we go. If we jump over to my studio. Now, this is a kind of a quick background look at some of what we do at CBT Nuggets. And I just really wanted to find my solutions architect course and just kind of show you some of what's in it. Because like I said, I'm very excited about it. So we'll jump on in. We'll take a look at the videos. Yeah, let me go ahead and switch on over to the screen share for you there. Great, cool. And so as I cruise on down in here and we take a look at the skills, there are 41 skills in this particular course, and you can see all of their titles in here. So it starts off with a nice little intro, and then we get into a big old chunk of security stuff. So account management, identity and access management, security policies, and then we kind of start working into some of the basic services like EC2, network traffic flow, move on down into some of the more software development concepts where we're thinking about choosing data stores, considering serverless options like DynamoDB, designing for web scale architectures. And then this one right here in particular, plan for messaging. And then the one service to service messaging that's right here. This is the one that really got me into where this API gateway project originally came from. I built a little setup that allowed me to relay messages using the notification service, and I built that all into this skill. And so what that means then is I had all of this working and I put it into one of my courses, and then I was like, oh, that's kind of fun. Wouldn't it be cool if I could make something that's kind of more internet facing and let people interact with it? So I made another skill then later on that adds on to this lesson and adds the API gateway part of it. Now that one's actually not in the solutions architect course. I'm going to have that one show up in my developer course. The topicality moves a little bit away from architect, gets closer to the developer world. Plus some of the kind of the detail level gets there as well. So let's take a look at some of those solution pieces because I kind of wanted to show you how that worked and also talk a little bit about how the notification service does its filtering in the background. It was a pretty fun exercise. And in the end, I ended up getting probably a dozen, maybe even actually closer to 18 different people to help me out. They were CBT Nuggets trainers and other people who were learners in our community and just folks from the internet as well. So, of course, a big shout out and a thanks to everybody who helped me out with that project. Really good stuff. We're going to try to find some of those messages that you guys sent me because I'm getting down to the end of the project here and I'm going to end up cleaning up the API and the queues and all those pieces here soon. So I wanted to kind of wrap all of that up. So let's jump back over here and take a look at that real quick. All right. Boom. There we go. And I need to switch on over to the management console. Cool. So let's start the process by taking a look at kind of the background workings of it. In the background, I built myself a little topic that I would use for all of my notifications that would be distributed. Now, I wanted this to be a serverless solution, so that meant that I had to go through and build something that could distribute the messages for me without me having to write a bunch of code or run a server or a proxy of some sort. So my little lab notifications right here, this is the one that contains all of the identities for the different folks that had subscribed to my little application here. And I wanted to find one in particular here. Yeah, this one's mine that I set up for myself. Actually, that's not the right one. I have a couple in here. Let's try that one. Oh, lab notifications. That's the one. Great. Cool. So this is my subscribers. This is for my email address, and it's in the lab notification system. And one of the things that I wanted to do with this lab was make sure that I could filter messages so that people couldn't just send anything to anyone that they wanted to in the system. Just a tiny little modicum of security there. So I set up a little filter policy that only allows it if it matches a particular message attribute. So what this allows me to do then is in the messages that we submit, we can include this little sender ID field, and it kind of validates that this is an approved sender. I had to statically set up IDs for everybody who participated in the lab and then program in all these little filters for it. It was a pretty simple way of establishing a really cheesy, simple little authentication setup for it. I didn't want to go through all the work of fully setting up an identity layer. In fact, I might add that later on because, you know, once you've got these pieces, you can add to them later on. So the other part of this is that I also have a series of queues subscribed to this topic as well. And indeed, if I take a look at my 2 queues, I had a regular queue and a high priority queue for 2 different types of messages. And if you take a look at the permissions down here, you can see that this has been configured to allow that lab notifications topic to send messages into this queue. And this was something that I built previously in the lesson. So looking pretty good. So far what we have is the queue, and we have the notification service, and we have all those email people set up in there with their little message filters on it. Oh, and I just realized I wanted to show you the queues real quick. So over here in the queues, you can see my high priority queue, and I have a regular queue down here as well. And if you take a look at the permissions on it, there you can kind of see down at the bottom that it has that lab notifications topic added, so it can relay messages through this. Now, the next part of the project was to figure out how are we going to get the API gateway to front end all of this for us. And one of the cool things that AWS does is they have configured an option called Service Proxy. And it's pretty slick. Basically, the API gateway can sit out front, and it can talk to other AWS services in the background. So it's kind of a Wizard of Oz thing. You know, you put up the facade, your clients talk to that, and then the API gateway talks to the AWS service in the background. So in my case, it's API gateway sending messages through that service proxy over the notification service, and then finally doing all the distribution to the queues and to the emails based on what that person sent in. And I'll show you how that looks here in just a few minutes when we test it out with Postman. So let's take a look at the API gateway, and I can kind of show you just a couple of quick little things about that. Great. So jump back over here, over my management console. Where's API gateway? Where are you at? Cool, there we go. Excellent. So my gateway was set up fairly simple. I have my little lab API messages router that I was playing with. And it's basically set up to have 2 different pieces of functionality. You've got your regular message, and then you've got your priority message that you can send in. And both of those are designed to be submitted using an HTTP post. And so if we jump into the post for that particular one, maybe for just the basic message, you can kind of take a look at the execution plan that API Gateway puts together for it. And this is really where some of the cool magic comes in for the API Gateway. We have the ability to first handle how do we validate the request coming in? How do we prepare the request before it gets sent to the proxied service, the topic in this case? And then you do the reverse of that for the response. How do we interpret the response coming back from the service? And then how do we prepare it to send it back out to the client? So in this way, the gateway has a lot of great ways that we can go through and manipulate, validate, augment, transform those requests as they move through the gateway. This is really where a lot of the big integration power comes from for this very cool service. So for me, all I was really doing was I was trying to catch some JavaScript information from these posts and look for that sender ID. So I wanted to show you that one first on here, or I'm sorry, over here on my priority queue. When the priority messages come in, I will know that they're priority because they went to that priority resource by address. And you'll see that here in just a minute. But then also when I go to send it on to the notification service, I need to flag them as priority so they end up in the right queue. So there's one little trick on here that I did over in the request. In the integration request, this is the part where I actually send it on to the notification service. I configured a series of URL query string parameters. And these basically allow me to provide info to the notification service so it knows how to process the message that the gateway is about to send it. And so if we take a look at those here, you can see my URL query string parameters. 3 of these were just necessary to get this working in the first place. I had to tell SNS that I'm going to be publishing the message. I grabbed the body of the message that we sent to be the message itself. And then I also had to reference the ARN for the topic that I wanted to have the gateway send the messages to. Okay, so those were kind of the 3 required fields. And then I have one other one on here, which is my message attribute entry. And I added this one to make sure that it stuffs that priority tag on top of it. By stuffing that priority on there, it ensures that the notification service can check for that and send it to the right queue later on as we kind of go through it. The cool thing with this is that I built all this in advance, and then I was able to turn it over to all of my testers and have them run a whole bunch of different little sample tests against it, which is kind of what brings us up to now. Let's run a real quick example through Postman, and then I'll show you some of the messages that people sent me, because I got quite a few out there. I think there's 30-some different high priority messages sitting out there for me. Along those lines as well, anything that hits the notification service topic, the users were able to get emails back about what they saw there. And they are also able to send me emails as well. So that was pretty fun. I got a whole bunch of funny little messages from people. Again, like AWS trainers here, friends of mine's, CBT Nugget trainers as well. And so now that we've kind of taken a real quick look at this, I mean, remember, friends, I cover all this in a ton more detail in my my CBT Nuggets courses. So if you want to check out all the goods on how I built this, take a look on my YouTube site here. You'll find some of the other pieces that kind of built me up to this point as we were kind of going through the project. And I do a couple of walkthroughs that kind of explain a little more about how the API gateway works. So that might be a good supplement for you. For now, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at Postman, which is a great tool for submitting and working with API messages and calls. Now, in order to do this, I do need to make sure that I have the correct URL for my API. And friends, if you happen to be able to see the little API link in here, I am going to go ahead and disable that after this live cast. So that'll be kind of the end of the API project. No shame there. No shame. I don't mind. I'll go ahead and close it out. Copy that address over, and we'll jump into Postman, see if we can make that work. Great. All right. And there's Postman. Cool. So in this one, I wanted to work with the priority message. So I'm going to start by working with that one. And the first thing that I need to do is go ahead and update the URL that they have in here. And actually, I'm wondering if that's right. That doesn't look quite right. Let me just make sure here. It's possible that I grabbed the wrong one. I just want to make sure I got the right one. Oh, it was. Yeah, CloudBart events. This is the right API. This is the correct one. So I'll jump back over here. My stages, prod. Great. I'm going to go ahead and grab that link. Excellent. So in Postman, I'm going to go ahead and paste that on in. That is the endpoint address that gets me to my API gateway. Beyond that, I need to add the resource. So I'm going to slap on the end there priority. And that ensures that I hit that particular resource. Cool. And then the next thing to configure then are all the actual properties of the message that I want to send in. Now, in my case, the most important things that I need to do is I need to include a sender ID. This is the part that ensures that I actually get a message back. Okay. And then the body was the other part of it. And so I've got a basic raw text body in here, and this just says Postman priority message example. Over here in the headers, you can see I set up CloudBart. Looks pretty good. And if we go ahead and send that message in, it should hopefully bounce back a little response here. Cool. All right. It says message request received. That looks pretty good. Let's jump over into the queue and see what that looks like. So back over here in my queuing dashboard, if we give this a quick refresh, there should be another high priority message. Oh, yeah. I don't know if you saw that increment, but that 26 just popped up there. So if we take a look at the messages and start polling here real quick, and I'm going to sort it by the date that it was sent. This one at the top should be the message that I just dropped off. Excellent. And there's in the details, it says CloudBart priority message. There's the body that I included. And if you cruise down in here, you can see where I specified that sender ID. And then you can see that it added the priority. That was the API gateway adding that part for me. So that was pretty slick. That worked well. What happened in the background then? The gateway received the request, sent it to the notification service, including all of these message attributes and the body that I was showing you there. And then the topic knew what to do with it based on all the subscribers that were in it. The final part was that they got filtered based on those message attributes so that only the high priority queue got a copy of it, and only my email address should have gotten a copy of the email message. So we can check that out real quick as well. Cool. And back over here in my email, hey, look at that. There's a brand new message right there, CloudBart priority message. Very cool. So that was the email part of it. And, you know, for me, guys, this is one of the most exciting parts about using things like the notification service. The idea that you can send one message and have it replicated out to all of these other recipients is very, very powerful connective tissue that we can use within AWS. So pretty exciting stuff. Beyond that, let's take a look at some of the other funny messages that people sent me, because I did want to give a shout out to everybody who worked so hard to test it out. A lot of these folks that helped me out, I've never met them before. They're just friends that I have on Twitter and online. So that part's exciting for me, just knowing that people were able to go and participate along with us. So let's take a look at that real quick, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up this little demo. Great. So if we go back over here, you can see some of the funny subject lines that show up. Like here's one, "I'm sorry, Mario." But your princess is in another castle. This is great. This one actually came from Jeff Kish. He's one of the instructors here at CBT Nugget. So that was a funny one. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it. Here's another one from one of our learners. Oh, look, they put all sorts of fun characters in there. It says, "Let's dance." Cool. I appreciate that. That sounds fun. Thanks for using the CloudBart notification service. Down farther in here, we got a message from Mike Ramone. "Hey, yeah, there it is. It's me trying this fun project." Thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. Oh, look at this one. OGIT is in the house. Yeah. Well, that would be Keith Barker. And it looks like he had a good time with it. It says, "What an amazing way to provide interest, practice, and results." Thank you, Bart. I appreciate it sincerely, the OG of IT. Good stuff. So this was a really fun little exercise. And remember, it was totally serverless. So Bart did this with very minimal effort. And that's part of the thing that I really enjoyed about it, was that it was a very powerful functionality. Oh, look, there's a couple of other ones on here. We got a little keyboard error message. Thank you. That's a fun one. Here's another one that says, "Let's get the API cloud and post to the sky's limit." Really fun stuff. Cool. So just again, wanted to say thanks to everybody who helped me out with my API gateway testing. It was really fun for me to build the serverless API. It gave me a chance to create some fun course material at CBT Nuggets, and then hopefully engage with you guys out there as well. Pretty fun stuff. What I also wanted to kind of chat about today before we kind of sign off is that everything's getting crazy out in AWS certified land. This month, AWS is releasing their Solutions Architect update. This is one that's been in the works for a year or two now. It's the latest edition of it. And for me, having looked at it and seen some of the guides on it already, it looks like the biggest changes had to do with the well-architected framework. Instead of using all 5 pillars of the framework, security, reliability, performance, cost optimization, and then operational excellence, they've condensed it down to 4 pillars and 4 domains on the exam. I'm okay with that. Basically, it's just the original 4 pillars, and they kind of removed the operational excellence part of it, which is fine with me, honestly, because operational excellence is really kind of a part of all of the other ones as well. So pretty exciting stuff. As soon as that architect exam hits the market out here, I think it's March 20th, I'm going to go sit for it again. I will be sure to bring you as many updates as I can. This is all coronavirus willing. Along those lines, I got other courses coming up soon too. So I'm really excited. SysOps, the developer, is going to be releasing here in April, and then another cloud practitioner update as well. So pretty excited. If you haven't had a chance to check it out yet, please jump over to learn.gg/Bart-Castle and check out some of the training content there. You can sign up for a free week at CBT Nuggets. And with that, friends, I wanted to grab my guitar because I thought maybe we could have a little fun since it's coronavirus lock-in time. And beyond that, I'm just going to sing you guys a silly little song that I was writing here. Haven't played it before, kind of trying to make it up on the spot just because, because of streaming, because of fun. So here we go. Well, now we got these troubled times, trying to find something that will rhyme with the coronavirus. Well, now I got these troubled times. I'm just trying to find something that rhymes with the coronavirus. Last few years, I've cried and cried and cried. Yes, I've tried and tried and tried. Through it all, I became AWS certified. Yes, I cried and cried and cried. And I tried to become AWS certified. Oh, yes, I cried and cried and cried. And I tried and tried and tried to be AWS certified. All right, there you go, friends. Hey, make sure you stay healthy out there, friends. Got a lot of new streaming content coming up. Knox is doing a presentation later on about Solutions Architect. And I'll just kind of keep going at it all week long. Got a lot of new training material to create and record. So just kind of having fun. I hope that you guys are able to stay healthy and enjoy the online training as well. So like I usually say, friends, we'll see you in the cloud. Study hard and take care, my friends.